Tonight, we welcome back a man whose life has been defined by service, vigilance, and an unwavering commitment to protecting others. Veteran law enforcement professional John Paul Rowe. From following in his father's footsteps into local policing to serving on the front lines of federal aviation security as a senior Federal Air Marshal, to his work today supervising some of the most high-risk sex offenders re-entering society. Woo. JP's career spans decades of quiet sacrifice and responsibility that most of us will never see. In his first visit, he shared unforgettable stories from the streets, undercover operations, and life in the Air Marshal Service. Tonight, I hope we can go a little bit deeper, JP. We'll talk about what happens after the badge, how the job changes a person, what public safety looks like in today's world, and what a lifetime of service ultimately teaches about faith, family, and legacy. JP Rowe, welcome to the Hibernian Media, and welcome back to the program. Good to have you.
Hey, it's good to see you guys. I'm glad to be back at the bunker with you, Hooley, and Rootin' Tootin' Billy Wootin'.
You got that from our friend Jeff Lang. He's given Billy that nickname. Shout out to him. Shout out to Lang. We'll get that done right at the top. When we were off air here before we rolled, you said Lang called me today. He wants to make sure that I say hello to him.
Check that box.
We'll check that box. We'll also say hi to your dad, retired Dalton policeman.
As we're taping, happy birthday, Pops.
Oh, it is your dad's birthday. Happy birthday, Mr. Rowe. How are things?
Good. Rainbows and unicorns, you know.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you decided to come back on the program. I wanted to talk a little bit about, just recap your career a little bit. You started your career, your dad was a policeman in Dalton. Followed your dad into law enforcement.
I did.
Was your dad the chief of police of Dalton?
No, my dad was a patrolman when I started. He probably had 10, 11 years on before I come on a job. My dad had me very young, so it was fun to work with him. You know, it was my father, but it was my buddy, it was my partner, it was a colleague, drinking buddy, you name it. Last time I talked to you guys, times were awkward sometimes, and most times were good. Sometimes were hairy.
Yeah.
I did the interview with you guys last time, and I go back and kind of think, well, I was going to talk about this, but I didn't get a chance, I appreciate you guys having me back.
Sure. What's your dad's first name, just to give him a shout out again for his birthday?
He is John Raymond Rowe. I am John Paul Rowe.
All right.
So that's the JRJP.
Yep. So you followed your dad into Dalton. Worked there for how many years?
Me or my father?
You.
I did 10, almost 11 years there before I moved.
To where?
From there, I took a lateral transfer to the Evanston Police Department.
Right.
Up on the north side. While I was with Dalton, I was detailed out to the MEG unit and DEA, as
correct.
We talked before.
That's where you worked with Jeff Lang and Dan McDevitt.
Right.
Yep.
And then Evanston, I did 5 years up in Evanston. I started in patrol, and the funny thing was my FTO, they said, look, we know you know the job, but we're going to have to put you with a field training officer so you can learn the streets and our specific paperwork. I said, okay, no problem. And I had a great training officer, and I bounced around between a couple of them.
Yeah.
But this particular one, he says, listen, there's not much I can teach you about the job. You've got more time on the job than I do.
Yeah.
He said, but I want to hear some great stories.
Yep.
And I said, okay. So I decided to tell him a story that happened to a partner and my partner and I in Dalton. We were working day shift in patrol. I was a young guy, 20s, and hated working days because I want to be out smoking and joking with my buddies after work, right?
How many years on the job at this time for you? 2?
3 years on the job.
Yeah.
South side, couple 2, 3. So we get a call in a apartment complex that's all Section 8, all black. Mm-hmm. It's 12 noon, maybe 1 o'clock. Bright summer sunny day. It's beautiful. And you walk into this building and it's like midnight. There's no lights.
Yeah.
You might have a what I call a raw light bulb hanging from a fixture or some wires. There's no light fixture over it. It's just a light bulb hanging there.
Yep.
And these hallways go forever. And when you're a copper, the jobs are never on the first floor. They're always on the top floor. And you got to climb all them stairs, and it's 90 degrees, and it sucks. Mm-hmm. So we climb up all the stairs, and we're going down the hallway. And down the hallway, you can hear, motherfucker this and motherfucker that, you motherfucker, and blah, 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 blah. And we're walking down the hall.
Right.
And all of a sudden I see my partner draw. He takes his weapon out, and now we're tactical, right?
Yeah.
He pulls his gun, I'm out, right? And I got my hand on his shoulder, and we're moving down the hall and being all tactical and everything. And
Is it getting louder as you're getting closer to it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we hear, and something breaks, and now we pick up the pace, and we're going, and we're moving down the hallway. And at the end, of course, it's the top floor, the last apartment on the end of the hallway.
Right.
And it looks like there is blood spattered all over the walls. I mean, it is everywhere. And I'm like, right? Game on.
Yep.
And as we get closer, I look on the ground, and I see a busted bottle of Kraft barbecue sauce. And a couple sniffs, and it's barbecue sauce in a while. So
all right.
Old girl heaves a bottle of barbecue sauce. We get in, we holster.
Yeah.
There's no weapons.
Yeah.
And she's in her best house coat and fluffy slippers and a bush gun on her head, and she's still motherfucking this guy.
Yeah.
And he is on the floor. Back against the couch, his legs are out in front of him spread, and you can just see he ain't there. He's seeing stars.
Oh, wow.
So our protocol with a domestic violence kind of thing, you separate the parties,
right?
But you stay within eye shot of your partner, right?
Yeah.
We always keep an eye on one another in case something blows off.
Right.
So he goes to the woman, he's trying to calm her down, and I go to the guy, and I says, hey, man, what's going on? His office. I just want to get up out of here. I said, well, tell me what happened. He says, office, I went out with a couple buddies of mine the other night, and we went out and had a good time and everything. I come home, and she's all pissed off. I said, well, this is like Thursday. I said, well, when did you leave the house? And he says, Sunday night. So he's been gone Sunday to Thursday. Now, he smells of bad body odor and stale liquor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big bender.
Oh, yeah, and he's ripe.
Yeah.
But he's sitting there and he goes, I just want to get up out of here. I said, well, dude, you're not like really with it. What happened? He says, she's gonna hit me up upside the head with the smooth.
What?
I said, that's what I said. I go, she did what? And I'm looking at my partner, keeping an eye on him, and he's talking old girl, and he says, don't hit me upside the head with the smooth. I speak Ebonics.
Yes.
But I said, dude, you got to slow down and tell me what she did.
Yeah.
She done hit me upside the head with the smooth. You know, the smooth. When he makes this motion, he meant an iron, a clothes iron. Now, through my years and telling that story, I've heard from other coppers, and I go, oh, yeah, I've heard the smooth or smoothie, this stuff.
Yeah.
So at the time, I'm telling my field training officer, I tell him that story, and he looks at me and goes, I know you're from the South Side.
Yeah.
But you must think I'm a fucking idiot because that never happened.
Oh.
I said, listen, I can't make that stuff up. Yeah, I'm telling you it happened. He says, no, that never happened. I said, okay. All right, never happened. He goes, I tell you what, he goes, you transfer to another FTO tomorrow. Anyway, he goes, look, you do me, I'll do me. We just stay apart, right?
All right.
Because he thinks I'm full of shit.
Yeah.
I said, all right, brother, no problem.
Yeah.
About 2 years later in Evanston, I'm up in the detective bureau. It didn't take me long.
You ascended.
Yeah, so they make me a detective, and I'm up at my desk, and here he comes, and he's in a specialized unit now. He says, hey, man, you got a minute? I said, yeah, Brian, what's up? And he says, I owe you an apology. It's a couple of years later, And I said, I said, for what?
Yeah.
I'm not.
You forgot about it.
Yeah, hell yeah. So I said, what are you talking about? He says, you remember that story you told me about the smooth? And I said, yeah. And he says, dude, I just answered a call. An old boy got hit upside the head with a smoothie. I said, well, apparently on the north side it's a smoothie. Down on the south side it's a smooth. So, that's one of the.
That's a good story.
I like telling fun stories. I mean,
that's why we have you on.
So, but
So you went to the Meg and then you went to Evanston.
Yeah.
You're still working.
I still am. I after 9/11, I put in for the Federal Air Marshal service. I did 14 years with them.
Was that full time you were with them?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I had to go through another academy, and I'll tell you what, I always thought I was a pretty good shot. Mm-hmm. These guys dialed me in.
Yeah.
We don't miss.
Yeah.
I mean, believe all the hype or bullshit you hear on TV and all that stuff. I can honestly say that I was trained by some of the finest shooters in the world. Delta Force, Navy SEALs, other federal agencies. These guys were the best. And I got to travel the world. I got to go to a lot of places and didn't see very much because you're there for 24, 48 hours, and you're probably getting rack time and going to the gym, and you might be able to go out for a few hours and see something. So I got to go to a lot of places I never thought I'd see.
Yeah. How did it come about? Was there just an opportunity that presented itself? Were you hunting for this opportunity?
No, after 9/11, I was in Evanston, and one of the guys says, "Hey, they're putting cops on airplanes." And what are you talking about? He says, "Yeah, they're standing up a program." The program actually started with President Kennedy in the 60s, and they called them Sky Marshals back then.
Yeah.
And through attrition, the threat of hijacking aircraft diminished.
Small agency.
So on 9/10/2001, there was 33 air marshals.
Okay. For all the planes in the sky.
All the planes in the sky.
Yeah.
And everybody says, well, was there an air marshal in every plane? It's like saying, is there a cop on every corner? No. There's just not. Mm-hmm. But after the program, a couple guys in Evanston were like, we're putting in. And I put in, and I came home from Evanston, and I'm walking into my house, and my then wife was on the phone, and she says, well, I'm on the phone with my new best friend. I said, who's that? And she hands me the phone, and it was a buddy of mine, Alex Rodriguez, who was at the time was not at the time, before I knew him, he was a recruiter for DEA.
Oh.
And when I was down there with the task force, he was always trying to come on full-time.
Come on to DEA full-time.
Right.
This is when you were working with the Meg.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I went to DEA task force, and he was trying to recruit me.
Right.
And he had retired from DEA. He says, hey, I retired from DEA. I said, you called me for the party? Or, no, we already had the party. He goes,
yeah.
I'm in Washington, D.C. right now with a stack of files, and your name is right here.
Did you put in for this?
Yeah, I did. And he says, are you still interested? And I said, well, the money's got to be right.
Yeah.
And he said, the money will be right. I said, okay. I said, where are they going to send me? He said, don't worry about that.
Oh, okay.
I said, okay. And about a week, 2 weeks later, I got a phone call, and a lady says, look, I'm from the Federal Air Marshal Service. We're doing preliminary screening. Are you still interested in a job? I said, yes, I am. She said, well, okay, you're going to get another call with an official offer. I can tell you that we're going to send you to New York.
To live?
To be assigned to the field office in New York. And I said, I live a half hour, 45 minutes from both airports in
biggest
Chicago.
Airport. Yeah, right.
And she says, all right, Mr. Rowe, I will tell the next person about that. I said, okay. So about 2-3 hours, and I'll never forget where I was. I was leaving Evanston. I was on Lakeshore Drive, just passing Buckingham Fountain.
Oh, yeah.
And the phone rings, and hi, I'm Susie Q, or whatever her name was, and I'm calling from the Air Marshal Service. I said, okay. I said, I understand. She goes, just let me get this out. I said, okay. She goes, here's your offer. This is what you're going to make, your base salary. You get law enforcement availability pay, they call LEAP. I said, okay. She goes, you get locality pay, which is X amount of percent on top of that, to be in Chicago. I said, well, I was told New York. She goes, Mr. Rowe, I'll change it back if you want me to. And I said, no. So I said, how long do I have to think about this? And she says, not long, but if you need to go call home, please call me back at this number. Excuse me.
Right.
I called home right away. I told my then wife, I said, I got the offer. What do you think? She says, is the money there? I said, the money's there. I said, can you deal with me
being gone?
And she said, yeah, we'll manage. And I said, okay. So obviously I took the job, and I was there 14 years, and I ascended They wanted
That's a good run.
They wanted to promote me, but then they wanted me to move to Washington D.C. I had 2 little kids, and there was no guarantee of getting promoted.
How did the agency change from 9/11 to where it sits today? Did it become more and more bureaucratic, and then all of a sudden you're like, all right, I got to get out of here?
It did. So after 9/11, so I got hired by the FAA, Federal Aviation Administration.
Right.
My first badge said FAA. Mm-hmm. After 9/11, they said, well, that's an administrative organization. You're not a law enforcement organization. And the political powers, you had Immigration and Customs Enforcement, you had Secret Service, you had the Coast Guard, you had the Border Patrol, you had, that are now all coming under the Homeland Security.
Yep.
But they all wanted a taste of this. And we call it standing close to the flagpole. Mm-hmm. The closer you stand to the flagpole, the more juice you have. Mm-hmm. And the Secret Service is
the flagpole.
Right? They're inside the White House.
Right.
So a bunch of Secret Service agents retired or transferred over and stood up the Air Marshal Service. And at first, we were rock solid. Like I said, my training was some of the best in the world.
Yeah.
Right? And it was game on, right? We're going to go around the world and make sure this never happens
Not
again.
politicized, straight law enforcement. Let's get the job done.
Go do your job. You guys are shooters. You will protect the civil aviation.
Right.
As things started to change, I believe that we were brought there for an interim.
Right.
Right. If we make it 20 years, we make it 20 years. They started using the Air Marshal Service as a
clout
path,
agency,
a path for the person rifling through your underwear at O'Hare Airport, a TSA screener.
Oh, okay.
Listen, if you want to climb the ladder with TSA to become an Air Marshal, you got to dig through everybody's underwear for a couple of years and climb that ladder, and then we can promote you into the Air Marshal Service.
Right.
When I started with the Air Marshal Service, what a great cross-section of people I worked with. Former military, some high-speed guys, a lot of law enforcement from around the country.
A lot of former special ops guys in the military.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know if I told this story last time. My team, we were on the range.
What's that mean?
The team I was assigned to at the Air Marshal Service, we're on the range. We're going to shoot. We're going to do our training.
Yeah.
And on the left of me, I had a Force Recon Marine, which is now Marine Rangers, I think. Mm-hmm. And those are special ops guys.
Yep.
I had next to him was a SEAL.
Yep.
That he was still in the reserves as a SEAL, but he wasn't active.
Right.
So he's on my squad. There was me. There was another guy who was a SWAT guy out of Indiana, Police Department, mm-hmm. and down the way, right? And everybody's, and I'm in awe, right? And I'm usually the team leader when we deploy overseas.
Yeah.
And a perfect score is 300 for us to shoot.
At the range.
And Force Recon guy, 300. Navy SEALs, 300. JP Rowe, 298 or 299. The SWAT guy, 300.
Yeah.
And they would always
roast you for it.
And they said, "Did you pull a JP?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" So if you're a shooter, you'll understand that last round, mm-hmm. as I'm squeezing off that last round, trying to get the 300, a perfect score, I drop my barrel to see if I
got it,
hit it, which drops the barrel, and my round drops, right?
Yeah.
So the guys on my squad were calling it, "Did you pull a JP?" So I never did get my 300, but I'm still out of 299, 280, 298, 299. But that's how good we were, right? They're busting my balls over 1 or 2 points.
Right.
Right. Now, I know that they were confident in my ability. Mm-hmm. If it's shit and getting, we're game on. And I was confident in them. The way the agency has changed,
yeah,
Like I said, it's a pathway for TSA screeners rifling through your underwear to move up and
into a law enforcement role of some kind.
Yeah. I talked to a lot of the guys that were on my squad and in my field office. We get together when we can. And one guy, he hadn't flown in months because he was down in Mar-a-Lago guarding Trump.
Yep.
Assigned to the Secret Service and the county police down there in Florida.
Yep.
There were other guys detailed to the border, being assigned for, when the border was hot and heavy.
Yep.
There are other guys that are like.
So they still stayed somewhat adjacent in government affairs to different agencies.
Yes, but they weren't deployed for the mission they were
assigned to. Yeah.
We became more of a force multiplier for other agencies to supplement them. And
how common do you think that is in
today's day and age?
Yeah.
With the federal government?
With the federal government.
Big time. I mean, I look at local law enforcement. Let's take, and I don't want to badmouth anybody in particular because I think the problem is systemic.
Yeah.
From the training, not even from the training, from the application process, right? They've loosened up the standards. They've loosened up training standards. They've loosened up hiring and promotions. And I think what happens, and I'm saying this across the board, and I'm sure somebody's going to listen to this interview and they're going to debate me on this. And I'm not saying there's exceptions. I'm sure there are. And I'm not bad-mouthing any one agency or police department. I'm just saying the sign of the times is, if you get on any social media, and I'll use Facebook for an example, you'll see officers A, B, and C from this police department just got a big donation from the local submarine place, and the submarine place, Joe Shit the Ragman, the manager, just sent over, 24 sub sandwiches for the police department.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that.
Right.
I don't want to see that.
Right.
I want to see my police officers. I want to hear in the police blotter that, they did X amount of DUIs. They've got so many bad guys.
Right.
Some burglars and carjackers. I want to hear that stuff.
I do too.
I
think the public does as well.
And I think,
but it's an optics thing now.
It is, and they don't want clean up in aisle one.
Our producer dropped his phone. Sorry.
They don't want police officers to be enforcers. They want police officers to be social workers. Put flowers in your holster. Kumbaya. Let's hold hands. We can talk this out. You need to be a social worker.
Right.
Why didn't you talk to this person? Why didn't you know that they were mentally unstable? Mm-hmm. Try to make that decision in a split second.
Well, do you think part of it is that, it's harder to get people to want to be police officers now, so they don't get the best candidates?
It is. But I think, again, we're talking systemic because they don't want people,
because of the Safety Act and all this other things. Forget it, man. Why would I want to do that?
After Vietnam, a lot of Vietnam veterans became coppers and firemen.
Right.
You've got guys coming out of the sandbox now after Desert Storm, during freedom,
right,
out of Iraq and Afghanistan.
Right.
And those guys still want to serve. And some are.
And some of those guys are near retirement already.
Okay. But some of those guys come out of the service and they want to still
kick ass,
have that rush.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because we're all adrenaline junkies and they want to serve their communities.
Mm-hmm.
They're less and less being encouraged to do that.
Though they're handcuffed.
Go to the library and read a book to a little kid.
Right.
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 Go to the local old people's home and have lunch with them. Have coffee with a cop. I mean, they want to be all warm and touchy and feely, and there's a place for that.
Mm-hmm.
But it shouldn't be the primary focus. And if you look at the city of Chicago, the current mayor does not like the police.
No, that's clear.
And he's not going to come out and say, I'm going to defund the police department. But he's sure trying to do it. I mean, he's sure
he's
going about it.
Yeah, by just making it easier to get in and handcuffing them and as a result, a lot of those officers are suffering from a lot of things, mental issues, some of them, and from what they're seeing.
So if you're lightening up on training, you're lightening up on the standards to even get hired.
Yeah,
you're going to have employees in any job, right, that aren't prepared for what they signed up for.
Right.
Right. The other thing is it's an economic issue where when I was with the Air Marshal Service, we shot all the time because that's our bread and butter, right?
Right.
I have to be accurate. My doctor said to me one time, he says, do you have any undue stress that you think you could shed? And I said, well, look, Doc.
I'm at the range enough.
I'm on a metal tube at 35,000 feet going 750 miles an hour with people that may or may not want to kill me.
Yeah.
No, I don't have any undue stress,
Yeah.
But we trained for that, and I knew that's what I signed up to do, right? Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of young people today are signing up, not realizing that. I've done training with police officers. I've done firearms and situational training with them, and I've had several of them. They're like, and I have a simulator or had a simulator, and
is that what your business shot? Is that what that
first
is?
shot was?
First shot?
Yeah, it was a simulator, and you can make life and death decisions, and it was like a big video game, in essence, right?
Right.
And I would have a situation where if the officer talked them down, they would be successful. Mm-hmm. But if they hemmed and hawed, then I would force their hand and make the simulator have that subject
be aggressive,
right?
Right.
And I had several of them. They're like, look, I don't care what you're doing. If that guy comes at me with a knife or a gun, I'm not shooting him.
Right.
And I'm like, but they've elevated the deadly force.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to.
Well, someone has to. Otherwise, he's going to kill the people on the plane.
Who do the police call when the police that are there
don't want to police?
Yeah, And I think that's...
Well, they're afraid because they're afraid to get sued. They're afraid to go to jail. Well, that's
the other thing, right?
Yeah.
They know the department's not behind them.
Right.
I like the superintendent of the City of Chicago Police Department now. I really like Snelling.
Yeah.
I don't know him personally.
Yeah.
I like a lot of what he's got to say.
The consensus is that a lot of guys like him, from what I've discovered.
He's appointed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So years ago when Daley was mayor of the city of Chicago, and God bless him, mm-hmm. A friend of mine told me, he says, the first thing the superintendent, when the mayor brings a new superintendent in, the first thing they do? I said, no. He says, well, they get sworn in, and then after that, the mayor has them sign a resignation letter, and the date is left blank.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm. So that if the mayor has to have a superintendent fall on the sword, so to speak.
Right. And who were his guys? Phil Klein and Hillard and yeah, right.
So not picking on anybody personally, but it's happened in the past.
Yeah.
And those superintendents were great superintendents and took the hit for the mayor. And whether you like Richie Daley or don't, in my opinion, if you had, and I'm not really a political guy, but
yeah,
if you had a Republican, because Jim Edgar was the governor, and you had Richie Daley as the mayor of the city of Chicago, mm-hmm. things worked.
There was a yin and yang to it?
Yeah, man, there was.
Yeah.
I believe that. So.
Yeah. What was the emotional reality of getting away from the Air Marshal Service after being in there for 14 years? I mean, that's an adrenaline rush every day, getting on that plane.
Yeah. My whole career, Paddy, I'll tell you, I opened my business first shot which is no longer open. COVID, it was a casualty of COVID.
Yeah.
But I sat in my office one day and I had appointments booked and everything, and I'm waiting for my appointments, and I'm sitting there, and I don't want to say my life flashed before my eyes, but all of a sudden, happy stories and hardcore stories and things like we're talking about now are kind of like, wow, I'm kind of reminiscing,
Yeah.
About 10 minutes after that happened, my dad walks in with a couple of cups of coffee. He was retired, and I was just someplace to come hang out.
Yeah.
And he puts a cup of coffee down in front of me. He goes, you okay? He says, yeah, I'm fine. Thanks for the coffee, Pop. And he says, has it happened yet?
Huh?
Has what happened?
Yeah.
He says, you'll know if it happened. I said, it's funny you say that. I thought a lot about my career about an hour before you come in.
Yeah.
And I said, the same way as I just told you, I said, Papa, it wasn't like my life flashed before my eyes, but boy, a lot of it hit me.
Yeah.
And he goes, it happened.
Yeah.
He goes, you think you're the only one to go through that? And
Yeah.
I said, I guess not.
Yeah.
And it was kind of comforting that there was somebody else to relate to. Besides
sure.
being my dad, it was a partner,
Fellow
colleague,
law enforcement.
right?
Yeah.
And it was there was somebody I can relate to, because there's a lot of stories. Man, I wish I could share with you guys, and it's not like I've said before. I could tell you, but I have to kill you. There's just some things I don't want to relive.
Yeah, there's some things you just got to keep the lid on.
And there's some things that for security's sake that we don't talk about.
Yep.
And you know, if one of my colleagues or partners was sitting next to me on a bar stool someplace, hey, you remember that time?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, brother, I remember that. Boy, were we lucky.
But that would be it. That would be all you take.
And that's kind of it.
Yeah.
We don't go out in public and boast about what we did, good, bad, or indifferent. We don't. You know, if anything, it's boy, were we lucky.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and boy, has the job changed.
Yeah.
The body cams and stuff, I don't think that's a bad thing. I was getting out of local law enforcement when the dash cam started.
On the car?
On the cars, right?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody was like, screw that, I don't want that. They're trying to jam up coppers. I'll tell you, it was just the opposite.
It was helpful.
You pull up to a corner and there's a bunch of mutts on the corner gangbanging, and they see that camera, whew, like cockroaches, they take off, you know?
Yeah.
And I think the body cams are...
They're there to protect the officer.
Yes. Now, I would have to say that if I was still on the job, I would have to clean up my language a lot. Because like the great General George Patton, if you want him to listen to you, you say it loud and dirty.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and I did, you know, but that was then, and this is now. And I'm all about, you know, it's not just about ass kicking, right? You want to help people, and I know
Right.
it sounds very cliche, and it's not, right? We go in to serve.
Yeah. When you left to go into the Air Marshals, was there a component of you that felt like honored, like, wow, I just got my ticket pushed, like this is big, like now I'm going to the big boys, and now I'm getting to play with a real elite team of people?
So I was in Evanston. I was in investigations. 9/11 happened. I walked into a Marine recruiter, and it was all the branches of the service, but there happened to be a young Marine standing there, and he said, "Yes, officer, what can I do for you?" And you know, shirt and tie, my badge on my belt, and my gun and radio in my hand, and I said, "I want to sign up."
Yeah.
This is 9/12.
Yeah.
Right. I want to sign up.
Yeah.
And this young Marine snapped to and looked at me. He never said no.
Yeah.
And I know somebody else this happened to, my former father-in-law.
Yeah.
God rest his soul. And this young Marine snapped to, and he says, "Sir, they haven't lifted the age restriction yet." He says, "Please leave me your card, and if they do, I will call you." And I said, "Thank you."
Yeah.
He says, "No, sir, thank you."
Yeah.
I said, "Okay." And I left, and he never told me no. He just,
Right.
and he didn't say I was too old. He just said they hadn't lifted the restriction yet.
Yeah.
So when the Air Marshals called, hell yeah. You want to talk about patriotic pride?
That's what I would
tugging
figure.
at your heartstrings.
Yeah, big time.
I missed my wedding anniversary. I missed the holidays. I missed my son's birthday.
Yeah, that's
when
hard.
I was in. So my training was in 2 phases. First phase was in Artesia, New Mexico. Mm-hmm. The second phase was in Cape May, New Jersey, and I missed a lot of family time throughout my whole career with the Air Marshals. I missed a lot of family time, and I'm sure that ended up playing into my divorce.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's what caused it, but I'm sure it played into it.
Sure.
And you know, it takes a toll on the family. But even my ex-wife and my kids knew then that I was doing something
That you felt was
for the good of the country.
Yes,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
I was able to apply my trade.
Did you discuss with your dad? Were you like, should I do this? Or did
he thought I was nuts.
He did?
Yeah, absolutely. He says, you got the world by the balls. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Were his exact words. I was making good money in Evanston. I could live anywhere I wanted. They didn't have any residence.
But he did what a good father is supposed to do.
Yep. And I learned afterwards that when I did sign up with the Air Marshals.
Well, he was probably worried for you. He was like, well,
His pride was beyond.
I'm sure it was.
He never came out and told me, but everybody around him, my stepmom, everybody around him says, you have no idea how proud your dad is.
Yeah. Did you have a proudest moment while you were in uniform that you look back on?
A couple.
Yeah.
Saved a couple lives.
Yeah.
And one was in a parking lot at a grocery store. I started pumping on this woman's chest. She was unresponsive. And a couple hours later, the paramedics told me that she
made it.
She made it. Christmas Eve, I pumped on a guy's chest back then it was the Calumet Expressway right by the steel bridge, in about 6 inches of slush. I think the guy might have been homeless. I don't know.
Right.
But I started pumping on his chest, and a doctor pulled up behind me with an ambu bag and started doing that. And I found out later that he survived.
Yeah.
Those are two I know of.
Yeah.
There could be countless.
I'm
others.
sure there are.
I don't want to sound like I'm patting myself on the back.
No, you're not.
But myself and my teammates, myself and my crew members, myself and everybody else on the job, you don't know what kind of effect you have. We just, you go out and do what you do, and it's not for the accolades. It's not for the pat on the back. We like to celebrate the wins. You don't ever like to celebrate a loss.
But on those days, the calling that you had to become a member of law enforcement makes sense. Really rings true.
I'm absolutely proud of my time on the job. I still stay close to the profession.
Yeah.
I host. When I was a young man, I hosted a shift party at Nick's Sports Page in Dalton, and the biggest party I threw was before St. Paddy's Day. Never on St. Paddy's Day. I didn't want to interfere with their business.
Yeah.
I had 350. We quit counting at like 11:30 at night. And I think the counter hit 356. And that's people in and out all night. And I had cops, firemen, judges, state's attorneys, public defenders, firemen, paramedics. And someone said to me early on, they're like, so if you have a badge or a set of tits, you can get in the door? I'm like, yeah, you can, yeah. So, and not a glass was broken and all that. And it was a lot of fun for all of us that worked the job to blow some steam off, right?
Yeah.
So now later in my life, I don't throw those shift parties anymore, but I call it beer and pizza for the old guys.
Yeah.
And the shift parties, we would start at 5 p.m., and I would usually quit about 5:30 the next morning. This period of my life, we meet about 6 p.m. and about 9:30 we're done.
Yeah.
And but there's a big group of us that get together and talk about changes, right?
Yeah.
At the beginning of the party, I say a little prayer. Unless Father Bill McFarland got.
Oh, shout out to Father Billy.
Father Billy, my soda bread's better than his.
And thank you for the soda bread.
You're welcome, brother, and you're going to agree with me. I'm sure you will.
Oh, it's going to be.
You don't have to. You don't have to say it now, but
Yep.
but I'm sure you will. Anyway, we start out by remembering people that can't join us in that party.
Yeah.
Right, and we call out their name, because if you call out somebody's name, they're never forgotten.
That's right.
And we go around the room and everybody, shout it out. And after that, we eat, drink, and have a great time. And about, like I said, 9:30, we call it quits. But there's a camaraderie that, like Jeff and I have, like Dan McDevitt and I have.
Yeah.
It's not just a guy I worked with.
Right.
Those are brothers.
Yeah.
It's family.
And I can tell.
Yeah.
I can tell just by the way that they mention your name.
Wow. God, I appreciate that. I do what I do, and I look up at those guys too. I mean,
For sure. Those guys, they're both great law enforcement individuals. What's on tap for St. Patrick's Day? We're near the end. You got to come back.
Okay, so I was going to wear my kilt today, except I had to go to court with one of the sexually violent predators, and I was going to wear my kilt today. St. Paddy's Day, first of all, when you're Irish, every day St. Paddy's Day.
That's right.
No plans.
Nice.
I will cook for my family.
Yep.
I'm already, I think you were loaf number 6 for the soda bread.
Yep.
Last year, I think I did 16. I started earlier this year. No, you can't place orders.
Not yet.
But I friends and family are, Dan McDivitt's for one. He's like, saw on Facebook you did soda bread.
Yep.
I like soda bread.
Yeah.
So I get that, and every once in a while, I'll gift a loaf here or there, but I'll cook for my family. I don't do the Southside Parade. We used to march with the Emerald Society in the downtown parade.
Yeah.
Do I have time for a Southside story?
I don't know.
Irish?
One quick one.
So real quick, I was dating my first wife. We weren't married. And Emerald Society, I marched the day before downtown. She and I went to the Southside Parade. We went upstairs to McNally's where the Emerald Society was having a party.
Yeah.
And I had a 3-liter bottle.
It's a big bottle.
Of Irish spring water.
Yep.
That was brought over for me.
Yep.
It was not Irish spring water. It was poachine. If you know what poachine is, Irish moonshine.
Yeah.
And we're watching the parade through the windows, and they have food, and the drinks are flowing. And a friend of mine, Jimmy O'Donnell, comes up, and he was in the band at the time. He's also known nationally as the Midnight Piper for the National Police Officers Memorial. Okay?
Yep.
So you know the guy.
Yeah.
So Jimmy and I are buddies, and I see him up there, and Jimmy, you got to have
a taste.
Have a taste, And he has no idea where I'm going with this, right? And I said, Jimmy, you got to tell my wife about your underwear. Or my girlfriend at the time. I'm sorry, girlfriend.
Yeah.
And she looks at me, and I said, Jimmy's wife bought him this brushed, tanned, lambskin from Ireland underwear for weather like this.
Yes.
It is, honey.
Beautiful.
When we get married,
I want a pair.
You're afraid I'm not going to wear something underneath my kilt, which I didn't.
Yeah.
Get me a pair of these.
Yeah.
And she's like, "You're going to be kidding me." He's like, and Jimmy, boom, follows
right on
soon.
it.
Oh, no. My wife had to measure and give pant sizes and everything. And, and she's like, well, what if they're too big? He goes, no, there's a leather strap that you can tighten.
Adjust.
Yeah, you can adjust. And the lamb is so soft, you don't chafe, you don't sweat, you don't. He goes, do you want to try it? Do you want to touch it and feel it? And she goes, well, now she's been drinking and probably had a little bit of the poachine anyway.
Yeah.
So he kind of hikes up a little bit of his kilt, and she grabs a handful of balls. Which, years later might have played into my divorce. But I don't know. But,
JP Rowe, you're you're one of our most fun guests. Thanks so much for coming,
guys.
and being here.
Thank you. I enjoy coming and
happy St. Patrick's Day to you, and God bless you and your family. And
you too, brother.
Come back soon. We'll be back with more Hibernian Radio after these.